On August 24, 2023, Chinese customs announced that it would stop importing all fish products originating from Japan, meaning the ban could restrict seafood other than seafood, such as sea salt and seaweed. In a statement, the Customs Department said the move was aimed at protecting the health of Chinese consumers by preventing the risk of radioactive contamination of food safety due to the release of contaminated water from Fukushima, Japan. This will have a significant impact on Japanese seafood exports. China's seafood imports grew 35% to $19.13 billion in 2022, a figure that comes after weaker imports in 2020 and 2021, and surpasses the previous record of $15.8 billion in 2019, a new record that shows COVID-19 stringent import protocols have had a lower than expected impact on consumption. Seafood imports rose 21% to 4.19 million tons, slightly below the 2019 record of 4.4 million tons. In response, experts say that China, the second largest importer after the US, will continue to expand its market in the coming years. Chinese imports grew in all 4 quarters of 2022, while US imports declined in the third and fourth quarters. The strong import figures for the first 2 months of the year are encouraging. This record highlights the resilience of Chinese demand, although the strict COVID-19 import agreement and national embargo suggest limited spending. Sales in wholesale channels and supermarkets appear to have declined, but this was offset by sales growth in new channels such as e-commerce, group buying, and live streaming. Source of China's fish imports. Ecuador is the largest supplier to China in 2022. The country is the world's largest shrimp exporter and has exported $3.56 billion worth of seafood to China. This represents a 63% increase from 2021. It is closely followed by Russia at $2.76 billion, a 48% increase year-on-year. Vietnam was the other big supplier at $1.7 billion, ahead of India at $1.26 billion. Canada and the United States, the main suppliers of Boston lobster, recorded strong growth of $1.23 billion and $1.14 billion, respectively. Norway, the world's second largest seafood exporter, was a surprise 7th, due in large part to weak salmon imports from China. The top 5 countries in terms of production were the most important species, such as warm water shrimp, balsa wood, king crab, snow crab and lobster, which are all major species in China. 2. Species of seafood products imported into China. Analyzing China's imports by species provides a clear picture of the importance of crustaceans to Chinese seafood buyers. In 2022, China's imports of crustaceans, customs codes 0306 and 1605, were valued at $9.8 billion, an increase of 37% from 2021. In terms of volume, crustacean imports grew 34% to 1.126 million tons. Last year, China imported $5.65 billion worth of warm water shrimp, most of which was farmed, up 53% from 2021. Imports rose 43% to 874,000 tons, the highest direct import volume on record. There are a number of reasons why shrimp is so popular in China, and the decline in the country's domestic shrimp production has been a boon for importers. The country is expected to become increasingly dependent on shrimp imports. Another attractive shrimp import is cold water shrimp, customs code 030616. Despite higher market prices, imports increased 108% in value to $542.6 million and 69% in volume to 72,000 tons. China also imports large quantities of crabs and lobsters. Live, fresh, or frozen crabs, up 6% to $1.3 billion and 7% in volume to 74,597 tons in 2022 compared to 2021. Most Chinese imports of hairy crabs come from Russia, supplying a value of $710 million, up 10%. Following the ban or restriction on imports of Russian king crab from the United States and Europe in June last year, more live king crab was exported to China and South Korea than frozen king crab was exported to the United States and Europe. However, the significant increase in Russian supply has affected prices. Prices for Russian king crab, snow crab, and Russian cold water shrimp have declined over the last year. But lower prices have meant increased demand from Chinese, Japanese, and Korean consumers, which has encouraged imports. Rarely, China imported fewer Boston lobsters. In 2022, China's imports of live or frozen Boston lobsters were valued at $614.4 million, down 10%, and imports fell 9% to 23,341 tons. 2021 is a bumper year for lobster imports. Shanghai, the most important market in 2022, is closed for 2 months and lobster imports resume in the second half of 2022. On the other hand, imports of live, fresh or frozen lobsters, customs code 030631, increased significantly. The value of imports in 2022 was $892.3 million, an increase of 43%, and the volume of imports increased by 57% to 16,932 tons. China also imported $5.1 billion worth of whole frozen fish, equivalent to 2.06 million tons. This represents a 45% increase in value and a 28% increase in volume compared to 2021. Of course, none of this is really for domestic consumption. 80 or 90% of the fish is imported, processed, and re-exported. Last year, China's largest supplier of frozen whole fish was Russia, with exports valued at $1.78 billion, up 71%, while Russian exports were 886,000 tons, up 54%. China's salmon imports also grew less than expected. Last year, China imported $736.7 million worth of whole fresh Atlantic salmon, up 26%. However, imports fell by 8% to 49,018 tons. 3. Status of China's imports of Japanese fish products in 2023. Down 30% compared to the same period in July 2023. On August 18, 2023, China Customs released the latest statistics showing that China's imports of aquatic products from Japan totaled more than $32 million, or about 4.7 billion yen, in July, a decline of about 30% compared to the same period in 2022. The latest statistics show that China's imports of aquatic products from Japan totaled more than $32 million, or about 4.7 billion yen, in July. The latest statistics show that China's imports of aquatic products from Japan totaled more than $32 million, or about 4.7 billion yen, in July. The amount of imports also fell by more than 30% from June. Initial analysis suggests that the drop is related to China's tightened control over Japanese fish imports. In particular, after Tokyo Electric Power Company's Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant announced that it was discharging diluted and treated nuclear wastewater into the ocean, customs authorities across China have been conducting stricter inspections for radioactive substances in Japanese fish products. The stricter approval process has led to an increase in the time cost of importing fresh fish and other Japanese fish products, thus affecting their import volume. According to Japan's Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries, Japan's aquatic exports to China amounted to 87.1 billion yen last year, ranking first among all countries and regions. However, this year's exports have fallen sharply, which in turn has affected the supply of ingredients to some Japanese restaurants in China. Restricted by the decline in imports, some restaurants have had to turn to Chinese ingredients to meet market demand. Japan officially discharged nuclear effluent, and China's General Administration of Customs issued a notice deciding to suspend, from August 24, 2023, the import of all aquatic products, including food aquatic animals, originating in Japan. The move will affect the global import and export of aquatic products. Tendata data shows that the popular markets for aquatic products are mainly the United States, Vietnam, China, the Philippines, and Russia. The popular origins are Vietnam, Argentina, Thailand, China, India, Pakistan, Japan, South Korea, Ecuador, Indonesia. China, to give up the Japanese aquatic market imports, can turn to the local aquatic market and neighboring countries to import aquatic products. Seafood food importers and exporters should adjust the trade strategy in time to seize new opportunities.